Hello friends, this is Dr. UJWALA Lande, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, Shri Shivaji College of Arts, Commerce and Science, Akola. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude towards the entire team of Botany for You, who has given me this opportunity to interact with such a large number of aspiring students. Friends, are you looking to set up a vermicompost unit and does not know how much knowledge of vermiculture you have or you need? Then don't worry friends, I am here to help you with the details of vermiculture business. So let us move to ahead and learn how to start a vermiculture business. You all are familiar with this animal. Yes, of course, it is earthworm. It is found in land and is a multifaceted organism for human beings. We know that it is popularly known as farmer's friend because they convert the residue of crop and other organic matter of trees fallen on the field of land to the small pellets which act as native manure for plants. It also helps in maintaining long-term sustainability of physical, chemical and biological properties of soil along with the fertility of the soil. An aspiring entrepreneur having knowledge about the manufacturing process can initiate a vermicompost. The unit can be established with moderate capital investment on a small scale in their own backyard also. But suppose you want to do it on large scale, then rural areas with the predominance of agriculture, suburbs of cities and semi-urban villages are considered ideal location for setting up vermicompost units on a large scale from the viewpoint of availability of raw material, that is cow dung, and marketing too. So what is vermiculture then? In present time, the rearing of earthworm is known as vermiculture, and in the controlled condition, the method of producing the fertilizer by rearing the earthworm is known as vermicompost. Synthetically, it is prepared by using or mixing up the dead remnant, eggs, cocoons, microbial organism in the controlled system, and that is called as vermicompost. So about this vermicompost we are going to understand in this video. Now, as we are giving so much of importance to vermicompost, that means vermicompost must be superior over the other manures. Now, what are the advantages of vermicompost? First is that the vermicompost is rich in all essential plant nutrients. It provides excellent effect on overall plant growth, encourages the growth of new shoots, leaves, and also improves the quality and shell life of the produce. Vermicompost is easy to apply as it is very free flowing. It can be handled and stored easily. It does not have any bad odor. It improves the soil structure, texture, aeration and water holding capacity and prevention of soil erosion. Vermicompost is also rich in beneficial microflora such as fixers, solubilizers, cellulose, decomposing microflora in addition to improve the soil environment. Vermicompost contains earthworm, cocoon and increases the population and activity of earthworm in the soil. It neutralizes the soil protection. It prevents nutrient losses and increases the use of efficiency of chemical fertilizer. So when there are so many advantages of vermicompost over other manure, obviously there is going to be a great demand for this compost or for this type of vermicompost. So naturally we are going to produce it, and the method that we are going to understand. So we can see here that how is the vermicompost appearing. It is called as black gold. This is nothing but the digested food or the excreta of the earthworm. And this is very rich in nutrients, promoting growth, and also it is beneficial soil microflora. The chemical composition of vermicompost, it mainly depends on the wastes, water, their sources of raw material and the method which is used to the preparation of it. Basically, in vermicompost, NPK ratio, that is nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus and potassium, is more than other ordinary manures. Now it contains all the nutrients which is needed for the good growth of plant. Like it contains 5 times more nitrogen than in the farmyard manure, 8 times more phosphorus, 11 times more potash and 3 times magnesium, and mainly like such nutrients in greater quantity than the normal farmyard manure. So the use of it is better preferred than the farmyard manure, commonly known as the dung manure in locals. Now, this is the wonder worm about what we are talking and understanding today. It has many biological advantages. It plays a major role in converting large pieces of organic matter into rich humus and thus improving soil fertility. It also has the burrowing activities. Now, how the burrowing activities of this wonder worm is helping us? It is creating multitude of channels inside the soil. So what happens? The soil becomes very aerated, and that allows all the processes of aeration and drainage to occur very safely in all these burrows. Beside this, the earthworm castings, that is in the home garden, if you see, there are presence of earthworm casting which provide 5 to 10 times more nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium to the surrounding soil. The intestinal tract's secretion of this earthworm is also help in making nutrients more concentrated as well as readily available for plant uptake, including the micronutrients. So this is the wonder worm. Now there are various species of this wonder worm. Here are some of the species of the wonder worm which are given, and their pictures are also shown here. You can see the red worm that we very see commonly during the rainy season. That is one. The next one is the night crawlers. Then the next one that you can see, that is Pernoxys excavates and the Aminthas gracillus. These are the few varieties or species of earthworm which are regularly used in production of vermicompost. Now, what are the needs, or you may say essential needs of this wonder worm? It requires a hospitable living environment. This hospitable living environment is called as bedding. It requires a good source of food. When it will eat the food, then only it will produce the castings. It requires adequate manure or moisture that we call, that is greater than 50% water content by a wet that is required. Aeration, adequate aeration, and also protection from temperature extreme. So these are all the essential things which are required by this wonder worm. So this is the type of bed that the worm requires, one of the most essential thing. So this bedding, it can be concrete, made up of concrete, as you can see it is depicted in the picture. It can be made up of this wood that is shown here, or this can be made up of plastic that is shown over here. So you can use any container and convert it into bed for this vermicomposting process. Then what is the food that is required by it? It can be any decomposable organic matter such as excreta, kitchen waste, farm residues, forest litter, can be used. Generally what happens, we use animal dung, that is mostly the cow dung, and the dried chopped crop residues. They are used as the raw material. All these things are mixed with the cow dung and that is used as a food for this animal. The next requirement that we have already seen, that is the adequate moisture, adequate aeration and protection from the temperature. You can see how the shade that is helping in protection from the temperature, and the shade is very high. That is the reason the shade can also prove to be a better aeration center, as well as it provides moisture too. Now, vermicomposting, it can be done by two methods. It can be done at a small scale as well as at a large scale. Suppose if it is to be done at a small scale, then this is conducted in covered areas. It is preferred land and recommended for areas where climatic adversaries like high rains, prolonged spells of high or low temperature, and predator like ants, rodents, and large insectivorous birds are abundant. Then in such areas we should perform this activity in the covered areas, or you may say that is in the indoor vermicomposting. So this can be practiced abundant cattle sheds and all, and poultry sheds or backyards underneath the temporary attached shed. So this way you can perform the vermicomposting process at a small scale. But suppose it has to be done on large scale at commercial basis, then simple production of vermi activity in fallow fields after harvesting of the crops can be done, and large scale commercialized vermicompost can be obtained through this method. Now, these are the steps which we are going to follow for the process of vermicomposting. The first stage is pre-preparation, including the collection of waste, of the degradable waste from the undegradable waste. That is, we have to segregate the waste. Suppose the waste is containing plastic, chemicals, or maybe polythene bags or glass, then all such material should be separated, and then the degradable material should be used for further processing. Second stage is digestion of collected waste for about 1 month till the heaping of along with the cow dung slurry. This digested material is fit for earthworm consumption. The third stage is the cement base is needed for putting the waste for compost preparation. Allow worms to go inside the soil for loosening the soil with watering. Stage 4 is collect the worms from the concrete base. After collection of the prepared compost, then the stage 5. Stage 5 is storage or prepare compost in appropriate place so that the moisture can be maintained along with the growth of microorganism. So these are the steps to be followed while performing the process of vermicomposting. Here you can see the same steps are repeated. I'll just revise once again. Vermicomposting worm that is required. Then site selection for vermicompost culture. Then container for vermicompost or composting beans. Then vermicompost bed. The worm food. Common worms food. Selection of raw material for vermicomposting. Then preparing of vermicompost in container in composting bin and watering on the bed. All these steps are to be followed for vermicompost preparation. Now there are two methods of vermicomposting. One is the bed method and second one is the pit method. What is done in bed method? Composting is done on pakka or kacha floor by making a bed of 6 by 2 by 2 feet size of organic mixture. This method is easy to maintain and to practice. The other method is composting is done in cemented pits of size 5 by 5 into 3 and the unit is covered with thatch, grass or any other locally available material. This method is not preferred due to poor aeration, waterlogging at bottom and maybe more cost of production. So according to our need, we can use the method which suits our environment. So once the manure is prepared by using all the things, then the next thing is harvesting of the earthworm. Because the earthworm we can use for the next cycle also. There are two methods of harvesting. One is the manual method. You can see here the laborers are manually separating the earthworm, or the other method that can be used by self harvesting, that is the migration method. So after the vermicompost production, the earthworm present in the tub, small bed or maybe harvested by trapping method. In this method what happens, in the vermi bed before harvesting the compost, small fresh cow dung ball is made and inserted inside the bed in 5 or 6 places. So after 24 hours what happens, the cow dung ball is removed and it is found that all the worms will be adhered into the ball. Putting the cow dung ball in a bucket of water will separate this adhered worm. The collected worm will be used for the next batch of composting. So in this way you can harvest the earthworm and use it for the next batch. This is storing and packing of vermicompost. So once the vermicompost is made, then it has to be sieved. You can see here different methods of sieving are used here. And the harvested vermicompost should be stored in dark, cool place. It should have minimum 40% moisture. Sunlight should not fall over the composted material. It will lead to loss of moisture and nutrient content. It is advocated that the harvested composted material is openly stored rather than packed in over sack. Packing can be done at the time of selling. If it is stored in open place, periodical sprinkling of water may be done to maintain moisture level and also to maintain beneficial microbial population. If the necessity comes to store the material, then lamination over the sack is used for packing. This will minimize the moisture evaporation loss, and vermicompost can be stored for 1 year without loss of its quality if the moisture is maintained at 40% level. Now, we have seen the process of vermicomposting, but we need to take certain precautions while we perform these activities. The first thing is that the floor of the unit should be compact to prevent earthworm migration into the soil. 15 to 20 days old cow dung should be used to avoid excess heat. The organic waste should be free from plastic, chemicals, pesticides, metals, etc. Aeration should be maintained for proper growth and multiplication of earthworm. Optimum moisture level 30 to 40% should be maintained, and 18 to 25 degrees centigrade temperature should be maintained for proper decomposition. All these precautions should be taken during vermicomposting so as we can obtain a yield of very good quality. Now, once we are ready with the vermicompost, now what are the market opportunities? Vermicompost organic fertilizer production business has good sales potential over a range of crops, that is agricultural, horticultural, ornamental vegetables and so on. A direct sale to the end user includes farmers groups, subdivision in nearby cities, municipalities, bulk sell to producers and distributors of organic fertilizer that needs vermicompost as one of the primary components. High-end market in urban areas due to the popularity of organically grown farm produce among the rich residing in posh villages and other high-end residential areas. So friends, that's all about all the process of vermicomposting and how to start a business of or entrepreneurship with respect to vermicomposting. I hope, thank you for listening. I hope this lecture will help you all in beginning your entrepreneurship at small as well as large scale. And a good luck to you all. Thank you so much.